Hi, welcome to Clutter Bravado.
Yes, and it's the energy. It's not just about the stuff.
So we should probably just get into it, right?
Let's go.
Good morning, Ross.
Good morning, Elise.
How are you?
I'm well.
Yeah.
How was your weekend?
This past weekend was actually pretty relaxed. It was good. So I think we have to call out like the obvious thing. We missed a week.
We missed a week.
And my apologies to all of you. I've been trying so hard to keep this podcast going every single week and making sure that it happens. And this past, or 2 weeks ago, I was in Seattle. I went to go visit my sister, or see my sister. She doesn't live there. We met in Seattle to go to a concert. And we got to hang out with my cousin that I haven't seen in like 15 years. It was so cool. But I got sick. And on the last day of the trip, I was completely in bed, could not move. I was able to make it home. And then the first day that I was back, which was going to be the day that we were editing and getting everything done. And I was not
functioning.
No. Not doing well. Luckily, it felt like the next day I was 1,000 times better. So we were able to like move forward with everything else we had to do that week. But having 2 days fully in bed was not planned, but I think that it's important to take health very seriously. You and I do that a lot, actually. We talk a lot about that. Taking our health really seriously. When you need rest, you have to take rest. So I'm partially apologizing for not having an episode, but it was a necessary break and we are back and you can count on the rest of the summer going exactly the way that you expect.
It was a bad one.
Yeah.
I have to apologize because I think I might have given it to you since.
You know what? Because the week before, you were not feeling well.
Nope. It was going around, so we all caught it.
Yes.
It's in the past.
I have a couple of friends who were also not, kind of got it for a couple of days. So I don't know what it was. It was not good. And I'm glad that you're feeling better.
No, I am. I am 95% better, so
yes.
That's all good.
Yes, I'm feeling a lot better too. So, I mean, it could have been worse. But so it's been 2 weeks. So how have your 2 weeks been? What have you been up to?
It's been, busy. Well, actually, our guest is keeping me busy.
Yeah, our guest today. I'm excited.
Our guest today is keeping me busy. We've had, we've worked a lot on getting, guests on, and the line is, Kimberly Diamond's line is doing well. We're pretty busy at the workshop. We're doing a couple new things. So it's been good. The weather has been incredible in California. I started reading again.
Yes. What are you reading?
Do you want to know?
Yes, that's why I asked.
1984.
1984? Okay. So in a 2025 reread of 1984, I feel like, isn't it just how things are now?
So the funny part is that I read 1984, The Perfect World.
Brave New World, is that the one?
Brave New World,
yeah.
And so those were requirement books, and I remember those books. They struck a chord, and I don't remember diddly of what I read. Those books had an impact on me. The reason why there was this whole thing of reading them when I read them, which do not start laughing. It was a little bit ago. And she laughs.
No.
Was because, we were, especially in Europe, close to the Eastern European bloc. And we still had, it was still very much the Cold War. And there was very much this moment in time in history where whole Eastern Europe was under the Soviet Union regime and this dystopian kind of thing. So I never thought that I would read this book 35, 40 years later, thinking that maybe it's hitting close to home.
Yeah.
I didn't think that.
Yeah.
And then this morning I wake up and the news is that the National Guard is being sent to D.C. And I'm reading 1984 and I'm like, it just doesn't, but it's cathartic. let me tell you, I find it cathartic.
Cathartic. Interesting. That's
Yeah.
an interesting word for it.
Yeah.
I read 1984 when I was in high school also. It was
Which was
required
10
reading.
years ago for
Yeah.
you.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. My 20-year high school reunion was this past summer, so
Okay.
let's be real.
All right. All right.
But I read it, I think, when I was a sophomore in high school, and I remember it being scary. And there are certain elements of it that I remember that as technology has advanced, I'm like, oh, we have that now. Oh, we just have that. That's just how things are. And we've gotten so comfortable with it. They say, like, how do you boil a frog? Like, you can't put it into a vat of hot water. You put it in cold water and slowly raise the temperature, right? And, like, the temperature has slowly been raised for us. And I imagine, I mean, I haven't read it since, I think maybe the last time that I read it was when I was, like, a senior in high school. Because I read it twice. But I think that another read of it might be...
It's really good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay. So once you're done with it, I'll read it.
You know, it was funny. I started reading it last weekend. So I was the couple of days before I saw that Alexa was now with an AI. You know, Alexa, Amazon.
From Amazon.
Yeah. And so I feel like everybody's gonna have an Alexa thing that's gonna just listen to the thought police, and you know, when you say something bad about whatever, it'll go straight through Amazon
You know
to
what's
the thought
wild?
police.
The term thought police is in 1984. We have different words for it now, but it's the same thing. I mean, I don't want to get too dystopian. We are an interior design and lifestyle podcast. Listen,
Yeah.
and this is a part of lifestyle.
And
So
lifestyle.
I'm not discrediting that, and it is art and that, but I do kind of want this podcast to be a safe space, you know, where someone can listen to the podcast and not think about the dystopian hellscape that we actually live in when it comes to politics and the way that technology is evolving. We have a lot of good things to look forward to.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there are a lot of things that are coming up that are very exciting.
Yeah, talking about that, sorry, I want to plug that in. Thomas Lavin is having an event
Oh,
on the 19th at his showroom at the PDC.
Amazing.
In LA, yeah.
okay.
So,
On the 19th
on the 19th
of August.
of August. Yeah, which I think is great because a few people have done. We went to the one at Stark, you know, that little
There was
barbecue
a little backyard
luncheon,
barbecue at Stark, which was
during the
wonderful.
summer.
Yeah.
Thomas is doing something, and I think he's not the only showroom doing something. It's a group of showroom, but I think it's great that showrooms and stores are doing things during the summer in
Yeah.
LA. When, you know, yeah, it's a little slow, but you know, we're ramping up for
the fall.
the
Yeah.
fall and the end of the year orders, and so it's been fun to go. It's been fun to catch up with designers and you know listen to what they've been up to this summer. So it's really encouraging.
Yes. Yes.
To be doing that instead of like the complete shutdown of you know.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, in LA, everyone kind of leaves. They go to Europe for the
a
summer.
little bit, yeah. It feels like it. By the way, shout out to Jeff Saad, who just spent like 2 months over there, and he's posting images. I'm like, Jeff, that's enough.
If you haven't followed Jeff Saad, I mean, he was our first guest on Clutter Bravado. If you haven't followed Jeff Saad on Instagram yet, you have to.
Oh, you have to. It's magical.
It is magical. I've been following along with everything. I have a girlfriend who's she was in Paris and now she's in Spain. And the things that she's posting about her trip, I'm living vicariously through her. It's so stunning. It's so beautiful. So, but like you said, as the summer sort of winds down, business is picking back up and a lot of showrooms are having events. So we'll keep you guys posted on the events that we're going to be going to and the events that we know of, anything that's on the social calendar or on the professional calendar as well. Speaking of professional calendar, I have a big install with a client on Monday.
Yeah.
I'm so excited, but I'm a little nervous, but I'm so excited. It's going to be really cool. Have some really beautiful furniture moving in there. It's going to be a lovely space. Got some art going in there too. So anyway, I just wanted to plug that. I'm very excited about it.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw it a few weeks ago. It looked good.
Yeah.
I think that you're doing
It's already sort of coming together. So
really fun, good job.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I mean, it means a lot considering that when we started this podcast, I don't think that I had had any clients when I'd started yet. So now I do. It's very fun. And I don't know, it's still very exciting. I like being new at something. What it's like to be a beginner. it can be so scary and it's deeply humbling, but there is something that's very exciting about it too. And along those lines, we are fast approaching the 1 year anniversary of Clutter Bravado.
I know, which is really incredible.
It's like 4 weeks from now. Isn't that wild?
It's
Not
really
even 4 weeks.
incredible.
It's like 3 weeks from now. And we have been working really hard at it for a while. We've been doing a lot with it. And gosh, I wish that I could tell you this incredible thing that we're doing this week that I can't talk about.
Nope.
I
No,
can't.
you can't.
I can't.
You cannot.
Okay, fine. We'll bring it up later.
Yeah, but not today and not next week. You cannot.
I can't. Not even next week.
No.
Okay. We're doing something so cool though.
And it is a secret.
And it has been in the works for a long time.
And it is still a secret.
And it's finally coming together. And it's still a secret. I get it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of our guest today, you had mentioned that you guys are doing a lot of work together, and you are.
Yeah, I mean, JB is a dear friend and also a big supporter of Kimberly Diamonds.
Yeah, John Brandt Design.
Yeah, it was really. I mean, he's busy, like most people, but so he took the time to come here, and it was fun. I think we had fun.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's the only one who didn't have time to stay for
I know.
lunch. So
It's
we'll
so
do it
sad that
again.
he wasn't able to stay for lunch because he is very busy. But we got into some really cool topics. This is a little bit of a woo-woo episode. A little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
But we had, some serious astrological stuff happening. We had the 8/8 portal, the Lionsgate portal, which happens every year on August 8th. That's about to close. We're ending Mercury retrograde, thank God. There are a lot of things that are sort of happening in the universe. And so this is a little bit of an LA woo-woo episode. But that being said, JB's story is fascinating. The way that he looks at the business of design is fascinating. And I think, for anyone who is a designer, anyone who's like looking for a designer or why you want to choose a designer, this is a perfect episode that will give you an insight into how someone who's really creative works and what their inner guidance system looks like.
And thinking about our 1 year anniversary, I mean, I've been thinking a little bit about our podcast and what it means and what it represents. But this episode highlights the soul of, why we do it, we do what we do. Probably highlights it more than others. But at the end of the day, when I look back at all of our interviews, there's a huge part of that.
Yeah.
And JB, we pushed it a little bit further than maybe in past episodes. But the thread is the love and the soul that designers and professionals or artists that we've interviewed put in their craft and why we do what we do, which is not just to make a buck.
Yeah.
It's really, I think, to improve
the way people live.
Yeah, to improve the way people live and to build a community around that.
Yeah.
And I think that, with JB, it's I think it's pretty obvious. But if listening back, it's a common thread.
Absolutely. Well, should we get to it?
We should do it. Let's go.
Welcome to Clutter Bravado. We are here with JB. Hi.
How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad that you're here. You two have known each other for a very long time.
Very long time.
Yeah, that's kind of a theme on the show. We have
It is a theme on the show, but there are people that I've been very close to, and JB is one of them.
Oh, that's amazing. So, but you haven't seen each other in like a minute here.
We had dinner a month ago or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we had not seen each other before that
For a
dinner
long time before that, yeah.
about a year.
Wow. So, what have you been up to? You're an incredible designer. You work with a lot of high-profile clients, but that's one of those things that you've worked as a celebrity interior designer, but so far underneath the radar that I looked at your website, I was looking at your Instagram. You are a well-known secret name among the stars, but to anybody like me, probably not someone we would find. How's business?
Business is good, and I I feel like to answer your question, probably from my own insecurity, I have flown under the radar. I'm someone that's super awkward in my being and who I am. I've always been that way. I've tried to be authentic with that. It's something I've struggled with, and also gotten to a point where I'm like, that's just part of who I am. So I've shied away from any sort of attention or having anyone have any interest in what I'm doing, because I always thought like I'm lucky enough to be doing what I'm doing and have some success at it.
Yeah.
That the idea of getting published and becoming like a name was never important to me. We did get something in AD, which was amazing. We worked with Douglas Friedman, who's an incredible photographer and has become a friend who I love and adore. And like, it's working with him and like having him sort of see what we're doing and then get his take on it was amazing. But I said this once at a really fancy dinner years ago. I got invited to this dinner. It was like people who had spent the most money with some vendor. And I show up at this dinner unbeknownst to me, and it was like the A-listers of decorators, and people went around the table and said what they were most proud of. And it was like, I was on the cover of AD or this project. When it came to me, I said connections. Like, I really am in awe that I'm this like awkward, uncomfortable boy sometimes that fell into this, didn't really have a background in doing it. And I get to sit with like leaders of industry and like people that have really made a name and success for themselves. And I get to sit and like break bread with them, have conversations, and they take advice from me. I think like that part of getting to know people that I would never cross paths with, I think is the most important thing and why I do what I do for a living. Because I think those connections make me a better person, give me more kind of a breath of like what life is like. And that's what keeps me going in what I do. So I'm like, I don't need to make a website and I don't need to do Instagram. A couple times I've tried to do that, and then people call me up and say, I can't believe you posted that. That's not your work. Because I think my work is so varied because I love getting to know clients and explore who they are. And I always say I try to be a bit of a soothsayer and like understand like what it is they want to do, and then within that realm show them all the possibilities that would make sense, and really try to pull out of them what I think they want. And the process connect with them, and then I think they connect with the project in their house. And to me, the biggest compliment is when a house is completed and done, and I watch my client walk around and say, oh, we bought this here and we did this and I found this. I feel like a proud parent.
Yeah.
So I guess the idea of being a hidden secret I've sort of liked for a variety of reasons, some insecurity, but most of it, like, it just didn't seem necessary to me because what I get out of it is so personal that it's hard to put that on Instagram or in an article.
You know, what's interesting is that for a lot of new designers, they feel like the only way to get themselves out there or to find that client that they're really seeking is to put themselves out there on social media. So as someone who never did that, how was it that you landed that first big client? Like, how did you end up in that position?
I was working for a decorator at the time and connected with someone that didn't connect with that decorator, and I was already on my way out with that decorator. So it was all very peaceful and amicable. But those particular people who are now become best friends of mine kind of scooped me up and gave me a first job. And I like sat in this massive house, and they paid me like a monthly retainer, and I kind of figured out how to do it all on my own.
Wow.
And that was 16 years ago, I think.
Okay. Moving from that first project, did you ever get a little bit, I don't know if insecure is the word for it, but just wondering like, can I do this? Like, did you have moments like that where you
I have
started
moments
to...
like that every single day. I remember when I first started on my own, I had worked for Michael Smith for a while, which I think he's probably arguably one of the best decorators of our time. Learned so much from him, but I was at a book signing with him, and it was Bunny Williams, who, you know, is an icon in our industry. And I was always a big fan of hers, and I had her sign my book, and I asked the same question. I'm like, oh, how, like, does it ever get easy? Do you ever? And she said something to me so interesting, and I'm going to paraphrase, but she's like, no, that feeling never changes. You always feel like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. Is what I'm doing going to be good enough? And she said to me something interesting is that when the minute that changes, probably when you lose your edge. So I constantly, on a daily basis, think I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think I'm worthy enough for my partner, my house, my puppy, my employees. Like I feel like I'm getting emotional talking about it. I constantly have to build myself up and be like, no, you deserve this. And then somehow that opens me up to then having a day of endless possibilities because I'm always second guessing myself.
Yeah.
You know, I'm working on that in therapy a little bit too, but I do think it sort of makes me tick. I mean, my partner might disagree because there's times he'll say to me, God, I feel like you're always on edge with something. It's always like right now I'm getting ready to install a pretty massive project in New York and LA. It's clients who started a fund and they're amazing. And it just occurred to me, I'm like, oh my God, I'm helping create their identity and brand. And I sort of shook up everything that they wanted to do and change it. I know it's going to be amazing, I think, but then I have moments where I wake up in the middle of the night and think, oh my God, it's going to be crap.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's part of the process, or at least it's been for me. So I don't know any other way but to second guess myself.
Interesting.
It sort of fuels the fire. I have to learn to do it in a way where it becomes productive and not counterproductive.
Yeah.
We've all had moments in our life where you become so overwhelmed by it. And now I'm trying to get to a peaceful place of like, okay, it's intense, but let's process it. And it is just stuff. And at some point it's all going to go away.
Yeah. There's this thing that I have to remind myself of a lot, which is that the idea of being humble doesn't necessarily mean keeping yourself as small as possible, but like standing up at the right size that you are. So like knowing that you are capable, that you have enough confidence to be able to take on a huge job like that and to know that you're doing it well, but enough humility to know that like, oh yeah, I'm grateful to be able to have this experience. That's a beautiful balance that you seem to maintain, even if it's not easy.
Yes, it's not easy, and on the surface it probably looks that way, but behind closed doors, I'm a hot mess. You know what I mean? Like especially when it comes time to install a massive project, you wake up and think like, I think I haven't slept for a full night in like a week because we're installing this big project in less than a month. And I think it just comes with the territory. I'm trying to learn to have peace with that and sort of put it in perspective, considering everything else that's happening in the world, and realize, okay, I live in this really privileged bubble and surround myself with incredible people. And I have to hold on to that and think, there's nothing that's going to be insurmountable in terms of what we're doing. Like everything there's always going to be a solution. It may not be the easiest way to get to, but if you stay calm and focused, and I've worked a lot on my intuition, and I work with a woman who's amazing. I call her my intuitive therapist, and her name is Lindsay, and I always say, oh my God, I can Lindsay the situation now. I can sit still with it and be like, okay, this isn't the ideal course of action, but what is the positive I can get out of this, and how can I turn this into something that's going to be remarkable in the end?
Yeah. So what is it like? I mean, you two have been working together for a long time, and maybe Laurent wants to answer this. In working with like a project that's so big, you're working with big personalities, you're working with really big spaces. What is it like coordinating with your vendors and with your craftspeople and really getting that to come together in the end?
I'm not going to answer that.
No?
I can answer, but I think mine's going to be a little bit more happy than what you're... I'm scared what you're going to say.
I'm so curious about what you have to say, Laurent, actually.
I love working with JB.
Yeah.
But it's you're the only one at 9:45 p.m. was like, hey, do you want to talk work?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, Will. And so we talk outside of working hours. So we talk early in the morning or late at night. But you're passionate about it. You're passionate about what you do, and that translates for people like me, for your makers. We go all out because you build connection. You build connection with people, and we've gone to a spot where it's no longer just work, and we'll chat. I mean, sometimes you'll call me at 5 p.m. on your way back, and we'll talk about other stuff than work. But 2 nights ago, it was for that project at 9:30. JB's on the phone, be like, "Hey, we need to. Can we talk about those chairs?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!"
I think that's the key, and the underlying message of my life is connection. Because I try really hard to work with people. I have an amazing, I wouldn't even call them my staff. They're like family, colleagues, and I've had a slew of them come and go and move on, and most of which I've stayed in great contact with, some not so, but for the most part, amazing. I'm so blessed that way. But same with my vendors. Like, I think the connection is so important and so pivotal in the relationship, because we work in this industry that's a little bit chaotic, and you're throwing people things JB way, not always at the 11th hour. And so you want them to pick up what you're throwing down, be respectful of it. You want to respect them in turn, and then know like it's trusted. It's in a place where it's going to sort itself out. Yeah. And I'm so blessed and so lucky to have found those vendors that without them and people I work with, I wouldn't be sitting here, because I'm the kind of personality that's so all over the place. I wouldn't know how to get out of a paper bag without people helping me.
Yeah.
And like, I'm so appreciative because we've not only become good working friends, but good friends. So then we have a great trust. So I
Right.
came to him recently and said, okay, I'm fucked, and not in a good way, as I always say. And I need to figure something out. I need you to kind of come down to what price you normally would do. Can you help me? And then we'll have a dance and negotiate. Because I want to make sure you're doing something that's going to make sense for you. Because I sort of believe in the energy of what you're creating. Like, and I think that's lost in a lot of ways. And maybe we'll touch on that later. But I love having things be created for my clients, or vintage pieces where you feel like the energy that sort of made that happen then goes into their house. And, you know, you want that to be, you want that to feel positive.
But there's also the trust. I mean, you in your connection with people, you build a lot of trust, and you give a lot of trust, and we give you that, and so that's what's been fun, is to be able to work with you, and even if it's sometimes some crazy stuff, it doesn't feel like it. Like you're like, okay, you're in a pickle. We're gonna work through it, and that's how I feel when I'm doing something with you that's a little bit off.
That means so
of the
much to
beaten
me.
path.
Sometimes I think to myself, do these people think I'm batshit crazy?
Oh no!
probably do.
Yeah, we do that too.
Yeah.
No, but it's hard to explain. It's true that today. So we're working. The example, we're working on a project right now. I went to the workshop today, and it's really something that, for a lot of people, I'd be like yelling at the top of my lungs. And it doesn't feel like that with you. It feels like, okay, we need to help JB. How we're going to do that? What's the best way? And even my upholsterer, who knows you, was like, okay, let's figure this shit out. But there is a way that you do it, because you show up at the workshop when we've done custom. You build that connection with him too. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I remember. Let's work it out. And that's a power. I mean, that's a beautiful thing, because you're able to make people feel like, okay, what I'm doing is good, and you also you also have both sides, in the sense that you give a lot of business to your vendors. You're very supportive, so it's nice to be able to reciprocate.
That's so nice to hear, because I try so hard. It sounds so cliche, but I try to be grateful. Grateful
Right.
to the people, grateful to the product, grateful to the people I work with, my employees, my clients. Every day, even if I'm like I am now, right before a massive install, I have to calm myself and be like, look where you are. You have people, you're surrounded with people that really give a shit about you, and vice versa. And I think that's the thing that is so important in life. And I feel grateful for that. I feel grateful for being grateful.
Yeah.
Like it sounds so cliche, but it's probably what gets me up in the morning.
But even the office, I mean, when you go visit JB at the office, there's even though they're busy, there's a happiness there, or
Not all the time.
no, but I mean,
But yes, I try
it's
to,
not.
because
It's not. There's a sense of there's a sense of happiness, even though there's stress that sometimes you can feel.
well, those people, some of which I'm very, very fortunate. Some of them have been with me for, oh my God, I think 10 plus years. And they handle my crazy, but there is like, it's like having kids, like I would imagine. Like, they mean the world to me. I would do almost anything for them, because I know I'm so limited in what my skill set is. I need those people to help interpret my crazy and then get things done. If it was just me, nothing would happen.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's.
So in building these connections with people, I'm certain that you've had the experience where you've started to work with someone like, oh, I'm never going to work with this person again. What does that look like? How does that feel? What kind of energy does that experience give you, whether they
Well,
have?
I always say client relationships, like vendors, it's like dating. And I even give that little blurb when I'm interviewing with someone, because I do believe in it. For the duration of the project, and most of which have become friends or friendly, you really are dating. We're talking on the phone all the time. I get to know the husbands, the wives, the kids, go to their games sometimes, have dinner with them, travel. It becomes like full on. I've definitely had instances where I've sort of paused and thought, maybe this isn't the best thing. But again, I think in my life, I've tried to see the positive of that and say, well, I've obviously brought them into my life or attracted this. What can I get out of it? And what good can I see in that? Now, we were just talking earlier before we were on mics, and I was saying how I'm hitting a new period of my life where I'm starting to create boundaries and actually, feel less people pleasing. And so that's been interesting because I did sort of fire myself off a job recently and started putting boundaries up and thought, you know what? I'm going to finish this up because I think being a good person is super important to me. Like, I've done a lot of things I regret and wish I could do over, but as I'm hitting these last chapters of my life, being a good person is really important to me. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to finish this up, and then maybe if they come back, I'm going to sort of shy away and try to extract myself and handle it with grace. But yeah, I think it's like dating, and I think you have to see the positive in the situation, the people. But yeah, sometimes it's really hard.
Do you have any red flags when working with a new client?
I think it's what we talked about in working with this intuitive therapist for so many years. I really have tried to hone in on my skill of being intuitive. So I really can get a sense pretty quickly of how a relationship's going to go.
So as far as intuition, what do you do to like hone that within yourself? I know sometimes for me, I have a hard time really connecting with my intuition because my brain gets in the way. So what does it look like for you to really connect with that?
Oh, wow. That's an interesting question. I started working with this amazing woman that I mentioned before, and pretty much on a weekly basis. I've learned to kind of sit still with things and just almost like get into a meditative state and try to see things outside of my ego. Try to understand that my emotions are very temporary and fleeting, and that obviously are connecting to something that's maybe not involved with the current situation. So it has been such a journey to get to that place, to see things wholeheartedly, as I always say. In terms of my personal relationship with my partner, that we've had our ups and downs, friends, clients, but it's been a really interesting journey to stop and sit with it and understand what feelings I have that probably are really kind of soulfully connected to that person or that situation that have nothing to do with my own personal ego and my own personal trauma.
Wow.
It's been interesting. Like my dad passed a couple of years ago. We weren't particularly close, but it was something that shook me to my core where I thought, oh my God, I'm up next on this ride of whatever that means. And you suddenly are faced with your own mortality and your life. And I started looking around and assessing everything I had done, and then where I'm going with this for the next few chapters of my life. And I really have put an ardent effort into trying to cultivate a life with my partner, our ups and downs with friends that really matter, and really try to sit with that and try to make the best decisions to have that unfold in my life. More positively.
Yeah. Do you think that the work that you're doing there is reflecting on the kind of work that you do in design? Like, are you bringing some of that into the home, and how do you do that?
100%. I think there's just something that I think I assume probably everyone does or has, and maybe they do. And when I'm kind of curating things, there's like a thing that repeats in my head, or a tick if I look at something. Like if I'm shopping for fabric and I come across this color and I'm trying to envision a story, this color or the fabric will repeat in my head. And so I've always learned now when things sort of come to me and a tick or repeat happens, I'm drawn to it and I have to go and get that, take a photo of it, get a sample of it. My partner and we just were at Hearst Castle. His niece and nephew, he's Aussie, and his niece and nephew were here, who are 16, 17. We had the most amazing 2 weeks of traveling with them. We took them to Hearst Castle, and we were walking through. I'd never been before. It was phenomenal. But we walked into this room with this interesting curved walls, but they'd taken the crown and sort of squared it off. And I found myself like drawn to take a photo of it. And I'm not that person normally. And I was like, that's so beautiful. And I've worked with so many amazing architects and millwork people who I've learned so much. I still feel like I have a ton more to learn. But the detail felt so unusual to me. What's interesting is I was on a Zoom yesterday with this new project I was telling you guys about, this historic house, and we're talking about their bathroom. And as I'm looking at the bathroom and how to make things work, I was like, what if we curve the walls within where the tub is? And all of a sudden that image of what I saw flashed back, and I'm like, that's what I was supposed to do. I took that photo and I showed the team that photo. I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? And I'm obviously not taking credit that I did this, but it made sense. And so that to me is remarkable, how your body or sense can like force you to take a look at something, and then you know, days, weeks later, the message is received why you were drawn to that.
Yeah.
So I guess you'd call that intuition, or
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
That's a perfect
I think
example
that
of it.
part of life is amazing to me. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten into this sort of idea, this sort of woo-woo-ness of like how we're connected, sacred contracts, intuition, that I've been completely fascinated. And the more I dive in and explore, the more at peace and happy I become, and it translates into my work. I think. Or it's slowly starting to.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that from like I've a lot of friends that are very intuitive, and actually just like on Saturday night, like I had like a little session with my girlfriends where we sort of sat around and got really deep into like where we are in our careers, where we are in our lives, and where we want to be, and where we find our inspiration and how our brains work and things like that. And I think what's really refreshing is that we don't normally hear those things from someone who has experienced like such a level of success that you have. And I think that that's something that's really encouraging for people who are just getting started, that like, yes, you can follow your intuition.
So you know what I heard right there?
What was that?
I heard it's really rare to hear that from someone who is over 50. A guy who's over 50. It's a conversation that we had where, you know, we are from a generation where we plowed through shit. We medicated with, you know, whatever was in front of us. We were not raised with, well, your feelings are, you know, you come from a generation where we already, mental health is a big part of it. Mental health in general was not even in our upbringing, but mental health certainly not.
No.
And now it's interesting that and I think that that's where you and I have connected too, is that we have to make that effort to grow, I guess, or to get to those feelings after already a lifetime of doing almost the opposite, which, you know, so it's really interesting that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I think how I got where I am in some ways is that generational thing where, you know, I'll be 54 this year. You just did whatever it took. You didn't question anything.
Right.
Like, I worked in retail fresh out of college, and you would stay there till all hours of the night to get something done. And I carried that work ethic with me when I worked for people. Like, oh, you need to plow through all these proposals. I'll do it. And I definitely benefited from it. Like it got doors open and got me in front of people. But only now am I sort of ending that people pleasing things and trying to do the same thing, but more on an intuitive hit level where it feels more connected in that I'm not only pleasing them, but I'm actually getting something out of it in return and bettering myself. And that I think is super interesting for me, because I watch the younger kids in my office who have the same ability, and they have just a different mindset where they're not so interested in just doing it to like please our clients. They want to make sure, all right, we're doing this and we're actually going to benefit from this, the office, myself. And it's really interesting. I wish I had that skill set when I was younger.
That's really interesting, because I'm a elder millennial technically. But like I started working at the age of 15, you know. So from there, I was taught by a lot of people that were like, whatever it is that you're asked to do, you do it.
Yeah.
Like however, like whatever it takes, you do it. And then starting to, you know, work for other people who are my age, and like working in like, especially when I moved out to Los Angeles, I was like, wait, it's okay if I need to take a mental health day. Like that's not something like I could ask for that. I thought it was something that was profound that I'd never experienced before. But I also find that, especially being in Los Angeles, like being in this area, I feel like a lot more people are working from that place of not people pleasing, of showing up for yourself and showing up as your best self.
Yeah.
And sometimes that looks like needing to take some time for yourself so that you can have enough rest to do a good job.
Yeah.
Or it means, not staying up until 3 a.m. getting something done, instead maybe delegating that to somebody who can help you, or learning how to ask for help for those things. But I think that taking that time to ask yourself, like, is this exactly what I should be doing right now? Is this what's good to do right now? There's something that's really beneficial about that.
Yeah, there's something that's remarkable. I mean, I'm at my age, probably for the first time ever, learning to like myself and actually put myself first and put as much effort as I do into my projects, friendships, things that I feel like I always had to do, but always liked doing for me. And that's been a remarkable shift. I don't know what's happened to me, but it's good. And I feel like I'm hoping it helps me sort of calm myself in these moments of stress with work, to be a better person, a better partner, a better boss, a better designer, a better, all the above. But I never really did that until probably fairly recently, in the past couple of years.
I don't know. I'm struggling a little bit with, the philosophy of, play. What's it? Work hard, play hard. You'll sleep when you're dead, and
That's for when you're in your 20s. I think that
yeah, but I don't think that people in their 20s now are, play by those rules. I mean, maybe, but the people in their 20s that I know are a lot more balanced than we were. I think that, the path that we had, where it was like, work hard, play hard, and then, get married, have a kid, that whole setup that we had, that, was in front of us when we grew up, that's, I feel, no longer true. And it's a little bit of some people are fighting it, but I like it. I like the fact that there's a balance. Some people will tell you, well, you can't have a balance if you want to make it or be successful, and I'm like, yeah, I think you do, because at the end of the day, the people that are successful are all, alcoholics, divorced twice, kid is not talking to them. I'm like, what are you talking about success here? I mean, it's like, it's very, you made a lot of money. That's not success. So it's funny to, talk to people my age about decent, topic, and for them to be like, very like, oh no, kids need to work 18 hours a day, and I'm like, for what? To be like us? I mean, I don't think so.
I mean, the one thing I have to say, success for me, and it's every day, it's a learning process, but success, I'm starting to realize, is about my peace.
Right.
And I never understood that, because I'm like, and my partner and I have gone through a slew of couples therapy, and we're embarking on a new one, which I think is going to be amazing. And so many times in therapy, the therapist asks, like, what is it you want? And I'm like, huh?
Right.
Like, what I want is peace, but like, I want the relationship to be great, and then I want Matt to be happy, and I want to make sure that we have enough X, Y, and Z, and our dog is great, and all this. To me, happiness is always equated, or peace, about everyone else being okay. So now I'm sort of diving into it, like, what does that mean for me? And I'm like, I hadn't thought about that, because I've always equated my peace or happiness to everything around me surrounding being okay. And now I catch myself in these really moments, like my partner is an amazing chef, not as good as you are, but
He's
you're
good.
level-ish. And so he cooks a lot, and I've been learning to cook. And to me, before I met him, cooking was heating up a DiGiorno pizza.
I remember that.
And I've come a long way. I've come a long way. You were at my house for my first like roasted chicken,
Yep.
so I'm proud of myself. I love it. But he takes the lead with cooking, which I'm okay with, and then I find myself in these simple tasks of having these remarkable waves of peacefulness. Like, I have become my mother, for better for worse, in terms of like order and cleanliness. So we'll cook, he goes and takes a bath after, and I've actually started to enjoy the process of tidying up the kitchen. Like, I find myself just having a moment of like, wow, I'm in LA, in my own house, we made this amazing dinner together, and I'm somehow finding such a peace in that. It sounds so strange. Or when I go to bed and cuddle up with our dog Rocco, the puppy, well, he's almost 3 now. Just those moments of tenderness, like things I thought I would never put a priority on that have created peace in my life, have come in full vision, and it's really remarkable.
Wow.
And it's things it sounds so trite and so cliche, but those are the things that give me the most sense of like peace and happiness.
Yeah.
Like simple things like that.
I don't think it sounds trite at all. I think that makes so much sense. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I remember when you got Rocco. I remember when you came to dinner. It was one of your first date
With Matt.
Matt.
Yeah, during COVID.
During
Oh,
COVID.
wow.
Yeah, and it was fantastic. I mean, the connection is there. It's like it's fantastic. But I like the path of growth that and that also is something that is a new, at least for me, it's a new thing of like thinking about growth in terms of my overall, be it mental, physical, meditation. That is something that we didn't, I mean, at least I didn't connect with, for a long, long time. And I feel like, I don't know, either it's the LA woo-woo environment, but I really enjoy it. I think that it makes trying to make me a little bit of a better person.
Yeah.
Have you always been in LA?
I grew up in Connecticut, went to school in DC, lived in New York for a couple of years,
Okay.
and then when I was in my early 20s, I became friends with an older gay couple and moved to LA with them. They got transferred out, and I was like, I think I was 23 or 24, and they announced at dinner one night that they were moving to LA, and they're like, you should come with us. I'm like, okay. So I came out. Unfortunately, they passed in the second plane crash in the World Trade Center, 9/11, with their adopted 4-year-old son. And then we just,
Oh my goodness.
yeah. So, God, that was so weird. When I was back in New York with my partner, we went to his niece and nephew wanted to go to the 9/11 site, and I hadn't gone ever. I just was like, oh,
That's
yeah. So we just went to go. I didn't mean to flood myself with that, but we just went to see the names and stuff on it. So.
Oh my God. Wow.
Anyway.
Have you been?
Wow. I haven't been. No.
It's an incredible monument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible. I mean, the power of that place is unheard of.
Yeah.
But it ties back into my thoughts of connection, because I connected with these people. They then had an opportunity, and I came out to LA with them. Like I think at that age, I was so lost, still lost now, but a little more found. But I think the idea of connecting with people, opening yourself up to opportunities, like I'm so grateful for. I never would have guessed at that age I'd move to LA and do what I'm doing. Everything sort of happened very in a serendipitous way.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. There is so much beauty in the way that you look at your career and the way that you look at your connections. It's something that I really admire, and that we talk about a lot on the show, about how important it is to create a strong network for yourself in this industry, especially.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people that try to go it alone, or they just have like a couple of, vendors that they've worked with, but they don't know a lot of other designers. They don't ask other designers questions or about like what their process is. And a big part of why we have this podcast is so that we can, it's helping me learn about the industry from talking to designers and asking them how they do things, and what approach they have. But it also helps to connect the stories that we all have. There's something that is so deeply human about the process of creating art, and especially when you're doing it in a home, you're bringing everything about you to that, even if you're just doing it for a client and choosing things that you probably wouldn't have chosen for yourself. You're still coming from a really deeply human place. So and working on like the projects that you have coming up, for example, and you're working with a historic home, and having these like little intuitive ideas that are sort of popping in, how do you connect the way that you want to see the space with the way that your client sees their own space?
I think that's like an open-ended book. I don't know what's going to happen. I think that's the beauty of it's sort of like what we're talking about in life. Like I can have a vision or an idea and move in a direction, but what's I think the most remarkable and the most amazing is when everyone connects on a conversation and something flips where ideas spark off each other where it moves into an entirely different perspective and shift that ends up becoming really remarkable in the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah. Wow.
I've like a funny story to tell. So when my partner and I moved into our house, gotta be 4 years, and we ended up buying this adorable 1950s ranch house up Coldwater. And we kind of did it on a whim. We'd only been together for a year. In fact, we closed on our year anniversary. We bought the house, but I went to go see the house myself before we closed, and they had taken all the women's stuff and put it into the garage. And I went to the garage to look, and I could see all of her stuff that she had accrued, all of her furniture, because they had staged it and made it very like vanilla.
Oh, wow, yeah.
But so I could, and anyway, I saw all her stuff, and then that night I had this crazy dream where this woman made me get into bed with her, and she opened a photo album, and she said to me in the dream, and I remember this, and I tell the story a lot. She said, "Life is nothing what you expect it to be, but if you keep an open heart and an open mind, it'll be even better." And the next day they called us to say there was a problem with the escrow. And I'm like, what problem? Like, well, the woman died in hospice, but they failed to tell us she died in hospice in the house. And I said, I think it's okay. I think she's come to me in this dream. And like, I had this whole
wow.
shift about life. And so sort of tying back to your question, I think you can go into a project with this idea of where it's going to go, but the magic happens when everyone collaborates and then ideas connect and spark, and then it turns into something you didn't ever think, but it's actually even better than you could have imagined.
Wow.
And I think
Yeah.
that's where I think we're all here on this world. I think is to connect and have those experiences.
Yeah, I just realized that that's something that you do a lot with work, because you'll call me and you'll go with the flow, and sometimes we switch things, and I'm like, "Are you sure?" And you're like, "Yeah, let's do that instead." And you're not. It's amazing that, because I never really realized that.
Well,
you do that a lot.
like in this instance, we're doing this project together. It's very last minute. You're helping me sort something out. You have an idea. I have an idea. I think those ideas will connect and it'll be even better.
Right.
And like, I trust you. Like, I know I'm throwing a lot of pressure on you to come up with something and to sort it out. But I turn to my office and say, I'm like, no, he should get this particular grouping of chairs. It's a lot. He can handle it. And I know it's going to be even better than our inspiration photo and what you've done before. And like, I think that energy will connect and it'll be something we'll be like, this is a pretty fucking cool chair, like in the end. So I appreciate that.
But it's fun. It's interesting that you flow. You do that. You do that.
Yeah.
More so than others.
Yeah.
Well, because I've worked with people that were so rigid, and it creates an energy where you feel stuck and stiff, and it doesn't in the end feel organic, and it doesn't have that, wow, this is really interesting when you walk around and take a look at things. Like our house where we live now, my partner's an architect, but really, truly a very talented interior designer and loves curating furniture. In fact, I think he's bought everything in our house, besides the things I had. But he sort of ripped it off my energy and would present things to me knowing they kind of are my more vibe. He was a little more earthy. I was a little more flashy uptown. But the interesting mix of things has been remarkable. And people come in, and our house has this incredible vibe and sensibility about it with some really interesting pieces, but then also some thrifted pieces. But the creating that thing is something I would never would have done on my own. And, you know, it had left to my own desire, and he stepped back, it'd be a much different house.
Yeah.
And I think that is the stuff I'm always like, thank you in the world, because those things only happen through that spark.
Wow. Yeah.
And that openness too.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be open to those things. That's cool.
Wow. Well, I know that you are on a short schedule today, so I'm going to get to our final 3 questions that I ask for all of our guests. Did I give them to you already?
No, I'm on the spot here.
Okay, spectacular. So, first question is, what's the messiest place in your home?
Our bathroom.
Bathroom. Have we had a bathroom before? No, that's new.
Bathroom in the sense of, I like things clean but closed. Like we don't.
Okay.
I don't ever use a hamper.
Oh, got it.
I like come home. I change into these. When Matt's niece and nephew were here last trip, I bought these like, I don't know, Hugo Boss like like casual pants with obviously like a stripe down the side, and I change in those immediately when I get home and just drop my pants, put them on, and then those pants accrue all week until the housekeeper comes. So I'd say the bathroom.
I like that. I like that answer. My second question for you is, when you walk into a new space, what is the first thing that you notice?
The energy.
The energy. Okay. Like if it had, you can feel the history in it.
Yeah, I think you can. I love sort of figuring out what happened here, what happened in the space before, where it's going to go. Sometimes if you listen carefully enough, it's going to start to tell its own story.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's remarkable. I mean, even coming into this building, you're like, whoa, you get
Right.
bowled over by the characters and the people and the things that have happened. So I wouldn't say it's a specific thing I gravitate towards. It's like a feeling when you walk into a space. And then you start to get a sensibility about where things should go, how things should feel when you kind of walk around and get to really understand the space.
Yeah. This is a little side question, but when you're starting to work with a new client and you walk into their space for the first time, if they like have just moved into a new house and are looking to redesign it, is that the first thing that you'll notice still, like the energy in that?
I think between them, it's funny. I have this, I'm so lucky. I've been attracting some amazing clients. I have this client now, they become friends. And we just had this conversation like a month ago. And I said, you always become like a watered down version of yourself when you meet people. You really can't. Even though I'm pretty authentic and a little bit crass, sometimes I have to kind of dial that back a little bit. But I was interviewing for these clients, and he had just gotten the Oculus, I think. And so he was like, the husband is an actor, and he's like, you should put this on. And I was wearing the Oculus, and he was like putting on like Disney movies. He obviously was watching with his kids, but later I was like, oh, the JB, who's the JB, would have said, oh, can you watch porn with this? But I wouldn't have ever said that. And she was like, I said, what if I had said that to you off the bat? She's like, we probably would have hired you right then and there without even checking references. So it's an interesting dance of like how much you want to show your light and who you are to not scare people. Because I know I can be a lot sometimes. So, but then when I remind myself, well, being a lot is who you are. So hold true to that.
Wow. Yeah, some people will love that version of you, but unless they see it, they don't get a chance.
But it was funny. It took me like a year to go back and say that to her because that was my first thought. I was like,
wow.
This would be fun. This would be fun watching this with porn.
I want that, but not for Disney. Yeah. Screw Disney.
Okay, my last question for you is, what is your favorite space, either that you've designed or in your own home?
My home is it's amazing on all levels. One is the story I told you. Two, I just think it's a quirky house, and the woman that built it in the 50s wasn't a designer, but obviously had some really amazing instincts about what to do and the materiality. And then I think the energy my partner and I have created curating these things. I love my house, and just the fact that I get to own a home is such a big deal considering the state of the world and what's happening. So I cherish that. I drive up to my house every day, and I'm super thankful, and I'm most happy and most comfortable in my house.
Wow. Oh,
That's so good.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure
It was
to
so
chat
nice.
with
Thank you.
Yeah, really, really wonderful. Is there anything that you want to plug or?
Ask him when is the hot tub coming into the backyard.
When are you getting a hot tub?
Oh, that's been on the table for a while.
I know.
Also,
That's part
when
two.
When am I coming over? I love this.
That's for the OnlyFans.
the OnlyFans version.
Of the podcast.
Why not?
Behind the paywall.
You guys will be the first guests to be invited.
I love it. Oh, do you have anything else that's coming up that we should know about, or anything that you want to plug?
No, nothing to plug. Just plug to sort of, continue my journey of being in a peaceful place and having great friends and great projects and growing and learning every day.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. This was fun.